Welcome to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support for when the divorce process has finished. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics related to post-divorce. Together, we'll explore the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of life after divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic is really a question many grandparents grapple with after their child's divorce. And that is, what rights do they have to see their grandchildren? So divorce really can be tough on everyone. And that does include the grandparents. You might worry about losing your connection with your precious grandchildren. Let's explore some of the legalities and navigate this complex situation. So we're going to start with understanding some grandparent visitation rights. So it's important to know that grandparents don't have automatic visitation rights after a divorce. Their access to grandchildren depends on several factors and really can vary state by state. You're going to want to look up the rules in your particular state so you know how to handle this particular issue. We got some key points though here, and first is parents' rights. So generally, parents have the primary right to decide who has access to their children. However, some states allow grandparents to petition the court for visitation rights under specific circumstances. You got the best interest of the child, and ultimately that's really what the court is concerned with, and they're going to prioritize the well-being of the grandchild above everything else. If a grandparent-child relationship is positive and contributes to the child's emotional well-being, a judge may grant visitation rights. We got existing relationships. Grandparents who had a strong, established relationship with their grandchildren before the divorce are more likely to be granted visitation and continue that relationship. Now, if you're a grandparent who wants to maintain a relationship with your grandchild, here are some options. First, open communication. You got to try it first. Try communicating your desire for visitation with your child directly. Focus on the benefits for your grandchildren and express your willingness to cooperate with their wishes. Then you might have mediation. Mediation can provide a neutral space for you and your child to discuss visitation arrangements outside of a court. And we also got legal counsel here. Consulting a lawyer specializing in family law might be useful, especially if communication with your child breaks down or if you need legal guidance on petitioning the court for visitation. Now, it's not all about the rights. Remember, the goal is to nurture positive relationship with your grandchildren. Forcing visitation can really backfire. So here's some healthy tips. You want to be respectful. Respect your child's boundaries and parenting decisions. Maintain a positive attitude. Focus on building a positive relationship with your grandchildren. Offer fun activities and create happy memories. Support your child. Offer your support to your child during this challenging time. This can go a long way in building trust and potentially fostering a more open discussion about visitation. Everyone knows grandparents play a pivotal role in a child's life. While navigating visitation rights after divorce can be complex, focusing on the best interests of the child and maintaining open communication with your child can be the most beneficial approach. Remember, sometimes the strongest bonds are built through love, understanding, and respect. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. Should you have any questions for me, just reach out. Divorce is not the end of your story. As we already know, it is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, take care. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic really is something. We're talking about the emotional roller coaster ride you might be experiencing after the divorce is final. Let's face it, divorce is a grief process. It's normal to feel a wide range of emotions. I mean, everything from sadness to anger to confusion, relief, and even guilt at times. It all comes with the territory. So take a deep breath and know this: you're not alone. We want to, look at handling these experiences after the divorce is final and all these feelings. So the first step really is just to acknowledge your emotions. We don't want to bottle them up. That doesn't do any good. We want to really say talk to a trusted friend, therapist, or perhaps even join a local support group. Those don't work for you. Journaling has worked for people, and it can be a very helpful way to process your feelings. Now, getting past the divorce process and everything really can take time, and you want to give yourself that time, for healing. Don't expect to feel normal overnight. Be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to grieve the loss of your marriage, but also allow yourself moments of joy. And it's okay to not be okay. Sometimes you just need to feel what you feel, whether it's a good cry or a scream into a pillow. Give yourself permission to express those emotions in really a healthy way. And be cognizant of triggers. Certain places, songs, or events can trigger memories of your ex. We want to identify these triggers and really develop coping mechanisms. Maybe it's avoiding a specific restaurant or finding a new playlist. And all this comes down to a little bit more on the self-care side as well. So now, we really got to make self-care a priority. We want to get enough sleep, eat healthy foods, and engage in activities you enjoy. Let's not leave out exercise as a great way to release stress and really boost your mood. So the divorce is over. It's really a chance to explore new things. You can take a solo trip, learn a new skill, or reconnect with old hobbies. Embrace the freedom to discover who you are outside of your marriage. And really holding on to anger and resentment will only hurt you in the long run. So we want to forgive yourself and forgive your ex to a degree. So, if you can't forgive your ex, that's fine, but you have to forgive yourself to get, some peace of mind so you can move on. Divorce doesn't really define you. You are strong, resilient, and capable of creating a fulfilling future. I mean, you made it through the divorce process, and that is grueling. So take a moment to visualize the life you want to build and just start taking steps towards that vision. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, a New You After Divorce. Should you have any questions on today's topic or other financial planning issues, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Divorce is not the end of your story. As you already know, it is the start of your next great chapter. All the best. Hello, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, a New You After Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today we're going to tackle a critical but often overlooked topic, and that is estate planning updates after your divorce is finalized. You want to think of your estate plan as, say, a roadmap for how assets will be distributed after death. And divorce can significantly alter that roadmap. So it is really quite vital to review and update your documents to reflect your new reality. Now, let's look at some estate planning updates that are essential after divorce. One is beneficiaries. Your ex-spouse might still be listed as the beneficiary on your will, life insurance policies, or retirement accounts. This could lead to unintended consequences with your assets going to someone you no longer wish to inherit them. And then you got some guardianship things to think about. If you have children, your divorce decree might specify guardianship arrangements. However, your estate plan should also reflect your preferred guardian if you pass away before your children reach adulthood. And then you got some trust twists. If you have a revocable living trust, it's likely needs modifications. Assets placed in this trust might still be directed towards your ex-spouse unless the trust agreement is updated. Going to want to get that taken care of. What kind of steps are we looking at here? Well, let's break down how this is going to work out. First, you want to gather your documents, dust off that will, trust, life insurance policies, and retirement account paperwork because they've probably been sitting somewhere, safety deposit box or fireproof safe or just a safe in general for quite a while. And then you can go ahead and review those beneficiaries, ensure that they're all accurate and they reflect what your current wishes are. This might involve removing your ex-spouse and naming new beneficiaries such as your children or close relatives. And then schedule a legal consultation. Consulting an estate planning attorney is highly recommended. They can help you navigate the legal complexities, draft new documents if necessary, and ensure the estate plan aligns with your current intentions. They will also keep you up to date on any new laws that come out or laws that have been changed with regards to estate planning and how that might affect your thoughts going forward. And then you can consider a new will. In many cases, it's just easier to create a new will altogether rather than amend an existing one. We got some additional things we want to, consider, some points to ponder here. And one is tax implications. Divorce can impact your tax situation, so consider how it might affect your estate plan. Discussing this with a financial advisor could be quite useful and a good use of your time. And then there's digital assets. Don't forget about those. I mean, you got online accounts, social media profiles. Determine how you want these handled after your death. So estate planning might not be the most exciting topic, but it really is an important step to securing your future and ensuring your wishes are carried out should the unfortunate occur. Don't let the divorce process leave your estate plan in disarray. If you have any questions on today's topic, feel free, reach out and let me know. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. Really, divorce is not the end of your story. As you and I already know, it is the start of your next great chapter. Take care. Hello, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic might not be the most exciting, but it's pretty important. And that is potential tax issues after the divorce. Divorce can significantly impact your tax situation. I mean, we're going to break down some key things to consider here today. First of which is alimony versus spousal support. Or spousal maintenance instead of alimony. The biggest change in tax treatment came, really with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Previously, spousal maintenance payments were deductible by the payer and considered income for the recipient. Now, spousal payments are no longer deductible by the payer, and the recipient doesn't have to pay taxes on them. That's a pretty significant change that, you want to keep on top of. Your filing status for the year the divorce was finalized depends on the date of the final decree is issued. If you finalized it by December 31st, you can still file jointly. Something to discuss with your ex-spouse if it's beneficial to both of you. Moving forward, you'll likely file as single or head of household if you have dependent children. Then we got dependency exemptions and child care tax credits. So the custodial parent typically claims the child as a dependent for tax purposes unless it's negotiated between parents. And there are exceptions. A special agreement can be made in the divorce decree allowing for the non-custodial parent to claim a deduction in a particular year or multiple years as well. So you really want to consult with a tax professional in order to really understand the specific rules, potential benefits, and make sure you're doing everything correctly. What about those capital gains on asset sales? Property division during the divorce is generally not considered a taxable event. However, if you sell an asset received in the settlement, later, you might be liable for capital gains taxes depending on its appreciation value. And we got the home. There's really a capital gains tax exclusion for single filers selling their primary residence if they've lived there for at least 2 years of the past 5. And this exclusion is doubled for married couples filing jointly. So understanding this particular exclusion is pretty critical if you're considering selling the family home after the divorce. And then we got legal fees. Prior to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, legal fees associated with obtaining, say, spousal maintenance could be deducted as miscellaneous itemized deductions. That's no longer the case. However, some legal fees related to dividing assets might be deductible. So there again, consult your tax advisor for the specifics and see if you're eligible for these things. So taxes might not be at the top of your mind after divorce. I know it's not on mine, but it's important to understand how your tax situation might change. I always recommend consulting with a qualified tax professional to discuss your specific circumstances and ensure you're filing correctly. I mean, everyone's situation is different, and that includes, your taxes. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. If you have any questions, just reach out. Happy to help. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, I want to tell you, have a good day. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic is all about selling the family home after the divorce is finalized. I mean, this is a big decision, not emotionally and financially. So we're going to break it down and explore the process involved in selling your house after the divorce is finalized. We got to weigh our options to start. First, have an honest conversation with your ex-spouse about selling the house. Consider your financial situation and future plans. Do you both need the money, or would one of you prefer to buy the other's share of the house? Now, if you decide to sell, you'll need to agree on a few key things. The listing price, consider market value and getting appraisals to determine a fair asking price. And you got the realtor. Will you sell the house yourselves or hire a realtor? A realtor can handle the marketing and negotiations, but comes with commission fees. Often, though, they can be worth it in the end. Division of proceeds, decide how you'll split the profits after selling costs like realtor fees, repairs, and closing expenses. They're going to all be deducted. So whatever's left, how are you going to split that up? So once we have an agreement in place, then it's time to prepare the house for sale. And here's what we might need to do. Declutter, depersonalize. Remove clutter and make the space feel neutral to appeal to a wide range of home buyers. Stage the home, consider minor improvements or staging to create a more attractive and inviting space for potential buyers. Address necessary repairs. Fix any outstanding repairs to avoid delaying the sale or lowering the asking price. Next, it's time to find a buyer. Now, we got to develop a marketing strategy, and this could involve online listings, open houses, or targeted marketing, depending on your realtor's strategy. Plus, there's negotiating the offers. Be prepared to receive offers and potentially negotiate to reach a price that works for both you and your ex-spouse. Now, once the offer is accepted, the closing process begins. And this involves finalizing paperwork, transferring ownership, and receiving your share of the proceeds after all the expenses are settled. Selling a house after divorce involves legal and financial complexities. So also keep these things in mind. Consulting an attorney. An attorney can help you navigate legal aspects of the sale and ensure the agreements are properly documented. Then you got the tax implications. So research potential tax consequences of selling your home, especially if you're considering capital gains taxes if you have not lived in the house very long. Every state's kind of different, so you got to kind of look these things up. So selling the family home after the divorce can be a complex process, but with clear communication, careful planning, and sometimes professional help, it can be managed effectively. Remember, prioritize open communication with your ex-spouse and prioritize your emotional well-being throughout this process. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. Should you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My information's in the description. Divorce is not the end of your story. As you and I already know, it is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, take care.